Hey folks, welcome to this episode of Road Hard Restorations. My name's Steve. We're working out of my home garage, and on this episode, we're going to fix all sorts of little things that are wrong with this 1974 Plymouth Duster to get it ready to go back on the road. It'll be awesome. Alright, crawling around under the Duster, just looking at what I need to do. This U-joint is wasted. I don't know if you can see this up in here, but there's a big old crack on the hose. Hose is wasted, need to replace that. Here's a bunch of worn out parts that I pulled out of the Duster. Little brake hose. Couldn't see it under the car, it's too dark, but it's pretty much shot. The old U-joint was all loose. All this old, that's not fuel line, but that's what was on there. This is the fuel filter that was, whoa, yikes. That's interesting. This was just outside the fuel sending unit. Has a big old crack right here. And apparently we have some nasty crap coming out of it. Spending more money on the project car. Okay, one of the things I need to fix on this car is the shifter. This is the shifter that it came with. It's perfectly straight, as you can see. This actually came off of a Hurst Shifter for a T5. I thought maybe it'd get me a little closer, but it doesn't really do much good. When I'm driving, I have to actually reach for it. Can't just put my hand down comfortably and grab it. Okay, if I'm leaning forward, but just cruising around, I don't want to have to lean forward. And with the seatbelt on, it's going to make it more difficult. This is a cruiser. I want to be able to just reach down right here and have it here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this. It's going to go on there. I'm going to cut this at an angle, take it apart, flip it around, and that'll make this come back this way. But I'm going to try that. It's third gear. That's the furthest from me. That's at an angle right here. Go down. It's going to be down here. So I got to get to cutting, break out the welder. All right, to show you how I'm going to modify this shifter handle, I'm going to cut it at an angle and then flip it around. It'll allow me to reposition it. I want to know how much of an angle to cut it. I just traced everything over to this paint stick here, and then cut it and see if I like the angle, and then I'll know what to transfer over to here. So I want to make sure I cut above about here, so that way I have enough room to bolt it to the shifter mechanism, and it's not going to interfere with the shifter itself. So I'm not sure what angle I need, so I'm going to use this paint stick as a demo to try to see, and if I like it, then I'll transfer it to the actual chrome handle there, and then make my cut. Let's go ahead and make it, I don't know, like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and make my cut. So now that I cut my shifter, what I'm going to basically be doing is turning it around and welding it like that. I can set that in the car, kind of set it in place and see if I like that or if that's way too much. So that wasn't much of an angle, but you add those two angles together and it's we don't need a 90 degree there. I think a little bit further up, like this will be better. So that's why we make a template and see how much we need to cut, because that would have been way too much. But I don't know. I'll have to put it in the car and see. All right, so got my little template here. Felt pretty good in the car. Just holding this little guy, make sure putting it into the different gears and then holding it up to the shifter, and I think that'll work. The other option is 67 Mustang 3-speed shifters, same thing as the 65 and 66. I'd rather not cut it up because it's actually in pretty good shape, but that's what I did in the 67, as I cut this off, ground 2 flats on either side, drilled 2 holes and bolted it to the T5. So with the boot over it and the factory knob, looks like nothing's ever been changed. This will actually work. It'll actually put it in a much better position, but I'd rather not cut it up. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to cut this, weld it at an angle. That'll get me in the ballpark. I'm not really worried about cutting up this original Hurst Shifter handle. The threads are already buggered up. So I got to figure out a ball that'll work on that. I know this will work. I know this will work, but I'd rather not cut this up. Time to go ahead and modify my shifter here. There to there. That'll work. So let's get to cutting. So instead of being straight, it'll now be a nice angle where hopefully I can reach the stupid thing. Okay, so the shifter itself has these grooves in it, so that when you clamp it in to the shifter mechanism, it holds tight, doesn't wiggle back and forth. And the other side is just where the bolt goes. And just by sheer dumb luck, I cut it in the right orientation. So if I had cut it the other way, I'd have the shiny side towards the serrations. 50-50 chance I got lucky. Alright, I'll put a tack here, and then weld it on both sides. That's that. Alright, I think that'll work. Alright, so I got the new shifter all made up. I got this goofy little knob on there for now. I gotta get a ball that'll fit it first. Let's see if this other one's any better now. Get this on here first. Alright, so I got the new modified shifter in here. I put this B&M shift handle on there that I've had sitting in a box forever. It's a leather wrap. The knob looks goofy, but it actually gives it a little bit of an extension. So now in a comfortable driving position, I don't have to reach so far. Perfect. Cool. Alright, so the threads were all stripped on this thing. So I found the inserts that came with my B&M ball, and it's 3/8/16. So I'm just kind of cleaning these up with the tap, with the die. And if this goes on just fine, then I will order the proper 4-speed ball that fits the 3/8/16 thread. Ooh, and some sharp threads. Oh, beautiful. Perfect. Okay. Need a 3/8/16 nut. So I have a stop at the bottom, basically a lock nut or a jam nut. I'll go see if I can find a thin one. All right, I didn't find a thin nut. Just found one of these, which coincidentally is what was already in the bag. So let's go ahead and thread this on here. I'll thread this one on here. Make sure it's got full engagement. I'll thread this on here. All right, they're solid. All right, so one of the neat things about this ball is this little cap comes off and you can put your own logo in there. Got a Hurst Shifter with a B&M ball, but it's okay. Maybe I'll put something else in there. All right, now that I got the ball on there, Looks a little more period correct, even though it's a little bit lower. I think it'll work just fine. This is just a little too modern. Comfortable driving position. Could be a little bit better, but it was way out here. I'm happy with that. It could be just a little bit taller. Maybe about 2 or 3 inches taller would be perfect. But then the throw will be longer. All right, that'll work. So the old mirror's just flopping around, so I pulled it out to see if I can tighten it up. Looked underneath. There's 3 screws that's supposed to hold a metal plate there to tighten the ball, and the plate's missing. So when you put the screws back in, but the plate's gone. So I gotta see if I can find one of those or make one. All right, what I'm gonna do, try to fix this thing. Since I have the screws, I'm gonna go ahead, take a tiny little piece of hose, just cut a little tiny little piece out of it, have it sit up against there, get a piece of sheet metal, cut it out, drill 3 little holes so I can mount it, and then as I tighten it, it'll push up against that rubber hose, hopefully tightening the ball, keep it from moving around. Might work. All right, so I just cut this little piece here. So I gotta trim it down some more. It'll fit right in there. This is just flopping around in here. So I'll put this little piece of rubber right here. Probably put a little dimple on here. Drill 3 holes. That'll hold it tight. Be fixed. So instead of cutting the crap out of my hand trying to hold this little guy, set him in here. Drill his eyes out here. This Harbor Freight Unibit's about had it. Okay. All right, perfect. Already better. Look at that. All right, so now I just need to drill that 3rd hole. I'll make sure I had it in the right spot. The way it'll go up and over the ball. All right, so put a little whoop in it. You think that'll work? All right, so it's pretty thin now. This will go on there. This will go on the top here. Look at that. Now this is loose. Ah, I could tighten that. Cool. So basically what we got is the 3 screws holding this little metal plate that I made that's pushing down on a piece of rubber. All right, looks like that's gonna work. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and troubleshoot some of this wiring. I don't have any brake lights or headlights. And looking down here, I have a just an open splice here. So I'm gonna tape that up. Just kind of follow these wires all the way down, see what's what, and then fix what I can. I mean, we got wire nuts on there. I mean, it's just a mess. So I'm gonna go ahead and look at a little bit of this here before we really run this for any length of time. All right, so I just put a piece of tape right here. This wire is just barely hanging on by a few strands. And then over on this side, had that splice. Just taped it up real quick. Somebody else's handiwork there. Not sure what's going on there. Let's see what we got going on here. Oil pressure gauge, not working. Voltage gauge, not reading. Fuel gauge reading 1/4 of a tank. That may be be accurate. I don't know. And the temperature, it might be moving. I'm not sure. Haven't let it run long enough.